Fearless Gamers, and welcome to another podcast here on Fearless Games. I'm Matt the Vet, and today I am joined by the one, the only, and the ever so lovely and talented...
James the Wildcard.
How's it going?
Not bad. How you doing?
Good. Happy Memorial Day weekend.
Yes, happy Memorial Day weekend for all those who are part of that.
Question.
Mm-hmm.
Do you actually get a Memorial Day weekend?
What do you mean?
Do you actually get the 3-day weekend?
Yeah.
Good for you. And for all of you guys who don't, I feel your pain.
Yeah, not every
Represent.
But
my Memorial Day consists of burnt burgers that could be used as hockey pucks and for 45 minutes. And if I'm lucky, those burgers are there because the people who grill them, like last year, after like 1 o'clock, none of the managers felt like cooking anymore. So for the rest of the day, we had soda cans, burger buns, hot dog rolls, and macaroni salad, and a grill just sitting there not being used, tempting us with, if you came here earlier, you could have had a burger.
Yeah, that's lame. But
yeah.
But there you go.
Yep.
So yeah, that's the thing. But if any else, who does take part in Memorial Day, because it's not an international thing. It's not. But
mostly an American thing, I think.
But
because of all the men and women who served our country.
Yeah, who served and who gave the ultimate sacrifice and all that. Just enjoy the day, but remember it. It's not like...
Yes, remember this day did not come all willy-nilly. There was a lot of loss and bloodshed for this day to be happening.
But enjoy yourself.
Yes.
That's the whole point of it, is to just reflect minorly on that.
Enjoy the freedoms that you've gained.
Yes, and anybody who doesn't celebrate Memorial Day because it's not where they live, have a burger anyway. They're delicious. Yeah,
have a happy Monday.
Yeah, have a good Monday. Have a burger. Have a hot dog. Have a sausage. Have something. Eat what you're famished. Eat something.
Eat whatever your guilty pleasure food is.
Eat something. You look hungry.
Yes.
Yes.
Particularly the flesh of weaker beasts.
Yes, you can. Yeah.
Even though a cow, I would consider not that much weaker than us.
It's only weaker because we have technology.
It is.
Like, our saving grace as a species is really the thumb. Forget about the whole sentience thing that we have in thought and problem-solving, because we see other animals have problem-solving skills. And
monkeys.
Yeah, and dolphins and squids.
Yep, dolphins and squids. Squids are jerks, too.
They are. I mean, even birds and stuff. So, it's really the thumb that lets us grasp and then really do things on a high... I mean, it's a... Give thanks to your thumb.
Yes.
Essentially.
Where is the church of the thumb?
Right? There's a church of everything else. Where's the church of the thumb?
Yes, there's a church of aliens that seed our planet so we could go fight off an alien overlord that's oppressing the universe. I'm pretty sure that's the Scientology.
I don't know, because it depends on what novel was released at that time, I guess. But, speaking speaking of that, I was watching AVP Requiem the other day, and I'm like, you know what? It's about time for another Predator movie.
It's about time another Predator movie about the Predator.
Exactly. You know what I was thinking. And it's if I was a writer or if I had actual pull, I could probably potentially get this through some ranks and see if there's any potential in it, but I'm not, so I have nothing. But the Predators who have, I forget the name of their race, I can see
Yazik, I believe.
Yeah, something that you're not supposed to pronounce.
It starts with a Y. I believe it starts with a Y.
It's either a Y or an L, or something. But either way, they have what's called the bad blood of their people. And those people who are, who basically turn from their society, hunt other predators, stuff like that.
Yep. That was in the Predators movie.
Yeah, but those weren't necessarily bad bloods. Those were the super predators, which are like which is like the super predators and the jungle tribe predators have kind of a feud. And the Yautja.
Y-A-U-T-J-A is their species name.
Yeah, those guys. And the jungle predator is, of course, look like the classic predator, and the super predators look different because they're almost like not a divergent species, but they're different groups within the species. But then there's the bad bloods that can come from anything, and they basically go against predator society. They'll hunt and kill predator tribes and stuff like that. You could just have a movie called Predator Bad Blood and have like a veteran predator is seeking out, hunting, and killing a tribe of bad bloods. Mm-hmm. And you know what? You can, and Earth apparently is so important in the universe. You can have them come to Earth if you want. You know, start there, end there, back and forth there. It doesn't matter. Just
the only thing that I hated, like, and everyone always says, "Oh, we needed it," was how it was all in all the Alien vs. Predators movies. We only followed the humans.
Yeah.
You know, I went to watch Aliens vs. Predators, not Aliens vs. Predators, but actually fighting humans.
Right, and it also follows. I mean, and I get why in the Predator 2, and Predators, where there's not any aliens involved, it's just predators.
Yeah.
Of course, you're going to follow the people because it builds the suspense. But when a movie's called Alien vs. Predator, that's what we're going to see.
Yep. They did a little better in Requiem. I will give them that. Requiem was a little bit more you had a little bit more presence of the Predator.
Yeah.
But again, there was some scenes where it was like where he goes to the factory, then they cut and they go, "Man, there was a raid last night at the factory." It's like, why didn't we see that?
Oh yeah, exactly. Like
he killed how many? That would have been awesome.
Yeah, and AVP Requiem is really the only. I mean, we can't really say for sure with the Predators, but I mean, firstly, the Predator as a thing kind of follows the ninja rule.
Yep.
The more there are, the more diluted they are.
Yes. The more they kind of stink.
Yeah, but
because you notice, like in the first one, there was 3 of them, and they did get good until 2 of them died.
Basically, and so you have that. But aside from that, in AVPR, it was the first time we had a confirmation of a veteran predator doing stuff. Because AVP, the first one, was a bunch of newbies trying to get initiated. Survive or die.
And the other 2 films were just outcasts that were dumped on Earth going, "You've been bad."
Yeah. You know, go prove yourself, kid, basically. This was a veteran predator, so we got to see how... Because, you know, in that movie, he was just hunting the Predalien. So all the other stuff he was killing willy-nilly, not really caring, and you saw how many he killed that we actually saw. So,
on the Knuckle Buster thing, like all that gear he had.
Was fantastic. So it was the first time we got to see a veteran predator. And it made me think, man, imagine if we saw like one of the greatest and stuff like I just think it's time, like, because I like Predator over Alien. Another Alien movie that is good would be nice too. But I love me some Aliens, but the reason I love the Predator films I like them equally, but what I love about the Predator stuff is all the super tech they have. Oh yeah, instantly, hands down, I'll tell you, no holds barred, Predator is my favorite over Alien. I prefer Predator. I enjoyed the Alien movie when I was a kid, and with the chest burster, that legitimately scared me. From the original movie, that legitimately scared me as a kid. That was scary. And it did a good job for what it was. But Predator was fantastic.
What's surprising is my first introduction to the chestburster was Spaceballs. So I wasn't as shocked when I finally saw the film, but the suspense that film has and the heartbeat sound.
Oh yeah. I mean, there's a thing, and you can tell with it's not just sci-fi horror, but horror films of that era. They got suspense. They did it right. I'll say that I'll even be so bold to say they did it right then, and it's not so much right anymore because they had the presence of the film just felt eerie and scary. There was suspense being built up. There wasn't even there were some typical jump scares, but there were stuff that weren't jump scares that were just scary because of the situation. Plus, you had the right amount of, seeing the alien or seeing Jason or whatever it is, and a right amount of stuff. It was just, they got the balance right. And I don't know if it's even really possible to achieve that anymore because we're so, we're so hardened to that.
Desensitized.
Yeah, we're so desensitized to everything that I don't even know. Like, that's why things have to be jump scares. Things have to be really gory or really psychologically messing with your head in the background somewhere. But that's what I like. I mean, even Predator, the first Predator, did a really good job with that and we saw a lot of the Predator, you know, in comparison to like Alien, right?
Yeah.
So, but it still did a good job. It gave you a sense of despair because like these are elite soldiers and they're getting picked off like nothing. Type of deal. So, I mean, and nowadays, you know, I feel movies really lack that. And also, you know, I forgot I was reading something. A big part of it also was, I know I said it before, and we've talked about before, practical effects and practical stages. Like, the original Batman, that city wasn't a painting, or that was an actual thing they made.
Yep.
Like, that wasn't just in the background or a green screen in 1989, or wherever it was made. That was an actual city they built in a sound room. Yep.
Granted, there were some backdrops that were matte paintings.
Oh, of course.
But still, like if he was holding on to a handrail,
that was a handrail.
He was on a handrail there.
That gargoyle that falls and breaks is a real gargoyle. Like it's like I'm not saying it's made out of stone, but what I'm saying is it's actually there.
Was there.
Like, and that's why when you look at 1989 Batman, no matter whether you think it's cheesy or not in comparison to more gritty, realistic stuff, that first Batman movie, that really helped set the tone for a lot of the comics after that. And that cityscape was actually physically there.
Yep, and I'm sorry, but I'm going to say it hands down had the best Joker.
I agree wholeheartedly. I do. I like
Jack Nicholson was so good in that role.
He was, and you know, you have people saying, well, it's a different Joker, and I get that. And maybe, you know, I grew up with that, sure, as a little bit of that, but I do like his more. I think Heath Ledger did a great job, and I'll always say he did a very good job, but ultimately, it didn't, I mean, it felt like the Joker, but at the same time, it felt like just a dude in makeup. Yeah. He had Joker tendencies, and he did a good job, and what I hate is when people overanalyze his performance. Like, there was one thing article I read, and I had to read it because it had the title where you gotta go, all right, I'll buy it and read it, but it was saying how, like, the Joker was really the good guy in The Dark Knight. And it's like, where did you, what? Excuse me? But
Bane had the exact same plan. Why isn't he considered the good guy then?
But it's just like, but what do you mean he's a good guy? Like, and I read it and it didn't convince me at all. People just, you know, it's just whatever. But you know, the practical effects of Batman in 1989 were there. Same thing with Predator and Alien. And I'm not saying movies don't do that anymore, but the percentage, the ratio is definitely down.
Very smaller, yeah.
And speaking of Predator and Alien, I don't know if I think there was a Kickstarter, and I think it got greenlit for like an AVP style of miniature game.
Yes. Actually, our very own Phil backed it.
Right, and it made it, right? It succeeded?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it succeeded.
Because, you know, the one thing I would love just to have a Predator model, just to pin up a Predator, because I love the Predator. Like, they're really awesome. And
with their little clicky sounds.
Yeah, little clicky sounds and their glowy blood, and the fact that I'm dying, let me blow up everything.
And the fact that they can turn drywall into healing goo.
Exactly. Listen, Predator 2, it's a guilty pleasure of mine that I like it. I won't say it's a bad movie.
It's fun.
I will say that it's not a bad movie on the whole. I will say Danny Glover wouldn't have been my first choice.
He was 2 days from retirement, man. You know, he was just playing the same character he was in the Lethal Weapon movies.
Basically.
That was before he met Riggs.
Like, yes, but like, I'm not saying Danny Glover isn't a good actor. I'm just saying you went from Predator, Arnold Schwarzenegger, and everybody, and then all the other beefcake men in that movie, right?
Arnold and Apollo Creed.
And then the Ventura, Jesse the Body Ventura.
Yes.
When you have that and everybody else there who are all at the height of masculinity in terms of muscles and
when
fit.
You have a scene where it's just them arm wrestling just to show how big their
that is the most epic handshake clasp in moviedom right there. It doesn't get much more epic than when, you know, Arnold goes, Dylan, and they clasp hands and it's just like an arm wrestling handshake. That's the most manliest handshake scene in the history of movies. I don't care.
Yes. No. That is testosterone on film.
It is. You go from that to Danny Glover.
Yes.
That's the problem.
He is not the first man I think of when I think action hero.
No. I mean, they can't use Apollo Creed again because he was in that movie. But somebody, like, I don't know who else. Somebody, somebody that was at least halfway between Danny Glover and those guys would have been way better.
Snipes.
Yes, that would have been perfect. Just something. I mean, again, Danny Glover's fine, but when he came from the first Predator, where Predator 1 killed everybody but Arnold, all those manly men, and then you got Danny Glover.
Yep.
That's the problem.
One thing that I did like about Predator 2, it showed another rule that the Predators have.
Yeah.
Which was you don't kill fertile prey.
Yeah. I like that, and I like that about AVP. And I also like that you don't kill prey that's already sick unless they try to kill you.
Like stuff that's not a threat.
Yeah, anything that's not a threat, you don't kill. And he saw that in AVPR a lot. He saw the guy with the gun, so he killed him. The lady didn't pick up the gun, he didn't kill her.
Yep.
And he left. It's just what I like about the Predator and what we see evolve in the movie is their culture. And I think that would be a really cool movie to see them with their rules and their mindset and everything. I'm not saying give us subtitles to know what they're saying. I don't need that. You don't need to know what they're saying. It's shown by their actions. And
hello, Wally.
Right.
I mean, did we really need subtitles to know what the robot was thinking?
Right. And that's why I'm saying if they want to come to Earth so we have some human dialogue, okay, fine. And you want them to pick up the usual thing when they go, want some candy? That stuff, that's fine. But they just have a really cool thing. But I really would like to pick up a Predator model because they're pretty cool. And what I also saw recently is Terminator Genesis is getting a miniature game, which I find awesome.
Yeah, I heard about the Terminator minigame.
I just find that hilarious, A, and B, awesome at the same time because who won't want to paint a bunch of T-800s?
Dun 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 dun.
Exactly. I feel a rule.
Fun fact, folks, if you do that with the Stark Lord around, he'll start drumming.
You have to. It's like a rule. It's a rule.
Yep.
When you hear that, you have to continue it because it's one of the few theme songs for a movie or things that is so iconic you really can't confuse it with anything.
Yeah.
And when you hear it, you just know, Judgment Day, something's up. And I think exactly. And I think it should be a rule in the miniature game when playing that has to be in the background.
Yeah.
Because
dun, 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 dun. It has to be playing while you're setting up the game.
Exactly. It's just,
and you can't play the game until the theme ends.
Exactly. That's how it should be because that should be a rule. But I think it's cool that that's getting a miniature game, just because depending how that goes, if we get hunter killers and stuff, that would be awesome.
Which ones were the hunter
killers?
The
flyer hover things.
Oh, those things. Yeah, those things were cool.
If they got more of Skynet's force, if this becomes a thing that gets bigger and we get more Skynet's forces, that would just be awesome. Because Skynet had a lot of really cool, weird things. And I would like that.
But speaking of, I'm curious, what's your take on this new Terminator movie coming out?
I can't wait. I honestly can't wait. I don't care about continuity and what's going on and people saying time travel stuff because we can't argue on movies time travel stuff because we can't time travel to say you're doing it inaccurately. So
yeah.
So
I think I'm just sitting here going I'm gonna go see it. Oh, yeah. I've seen all the other ones in theaters that I could see in theaters because I was a wee lad and wasn't allowed to see Terminator 2 until it came out on VHS and we went to the block. No, we did the pay-per-view for that one.
Ooh. Do people even know what pay-per-view is anymore who don't watch boxing?
For all those, it is basically on demand.
Essentially.
Yes, on demand. Pay-per-view turned into on demand. So I'm gonna go see it. I was turned off originally when I went. So this is Terminator 1 and Terminator 2 merged together to have a baby.
Right.
I was not a fan of that, but who knows? I may end up enjoying it. It can't be worse than Terminator 3.
Right. The thing about Terminator 3 is the overall idea was good. The problem was
they took out the Arnold scene.
Yeah. No, they did.
Arnold with a Texan accent.
That would have been fantastic.
Hey, howdy, it's me.
But that and like, I don't know. I just feel it wasn't taking itself seriously when it was doing it.
My biggest problem with the third one, over all of it, was the ending. Just so you know, guys, you may want to skip ahead a little bit. Spoiler alert. The first two films were all about the future isn't set in stone. You can always change it. What we've told you is not definite. If you fight and you try, you can alter the timeline.
Right.
The third one ends with, no matter what you do, time alters itself, so it happens anyway.
Well,
and I'm like, that's BS. And everyone I talk to who liked the film is like, but you get to find out how he became leader of the resistance. Like, I don't need to know how he became it.
Right.
I want to see him stop
and
this
besides,
from happening.
When you watch Salvation, that's not how he became the leader anyway. But
yes, because he wasn't the leader.
But also, Salvation is weird because Salvation doesn't take into account, like, Terminator 2 at all. Or 3.
Well, yes, and the other big thing was John knew who his dad was, so doesn't that automatically change everything?
Well, again, I don't care about timeline stuff because time travel, I don't know it. None of us know it, so who knows?
Well, actually, no, that actually makes a little bit more sense.
Why he would send him back,
why would it send him back? Because it's like he has to go back, he has to become my daddy.
Yeah. I mean, I get it, but I don't question time travel mechanics in any movie because, like I said, I can't hop in one and tell if they're doing it.
Yeah, the only thing that I really say against Salvation was I sat there and I went, I thought John Connor was the leader.
Right.
Why is everyone like, don't get talking here because you know what's going to happen? I was like, doesn't that make him the guy you should be listening to because he knows what's going to happen?
I like how he became the leader at the end of it. I like how it went for him to be leader. I like it wasn't just handed to him, that he kind of earned it and kind of did stuff. But I like 3 because of the ending, and I look at the ending as there's no fate but what we make, sure, but that's not just John Connor. That's also the human race. And while it's been delayed and we destroyed stuff, it also showed the inevitability of human progress. Because the idea was, okay, either we create Skynet or we go back to the Dark Ages. And Skynet ultimately came to be Skynet, sure. But, I just like that was it a bit fatalistic and therefore kind of contrary? I can see that for sure. But at the same time, I also see it as, well, that's human. I mean, humans have progressed to this, and really not that there was no stopping it, but you have to, it's going to happen. Was it a bit too bad it's going to happen regardless? On the one hand, yeah. But I kind of view it as, you did make your own fate. Look at how long humanity lasted now. And it just...
Fair enough.
I mean, it's a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation with that type of movie.
Yeah.
But I just think it didn't take itself on the same level of seriousness as Terminator 1 and 2.
Yeah, it definitely didn't.
And that really hurt it for me, because you can have everything they did, but if it was taken a bit more seriously, like in the film, like if the air of it was a bit more serious, I think it could have been better. But
the T-3000
thingy,
I remember going, is there any line she's going to say that's not a ripoff of the T-1000?
Yeah, or whatever her actual designation. I thought it was like a TX something.
I'm going to look it up.
Because it gets out of hand with the designations.
Yeah, she just kept going, I like your bike. I like your gun. I like your outfit. It's like, we get it. He said I like a lot in the second one, which he didn't. He said it only once. He said, hey, that's a nice bike. And that was about it.
Yeah. But it was like, it was just, that was kind of annoying. But I find it cool that they got a miniature game coming soon, and hopefully it does well enough to get things like the Hunter Killer and other T-whatevers, whatever you want to call Skynet's Doom Death Squads of stuff. Because
the TX.
Yeah, the TX. And the big, the big thing that they had in Salvation that had the bikes come off of it, that thing was awesome. Like
some of the robot things were pretty cool.
Yeah, and I just like that. Like that's what I like Skynet about a lot. Like Skynet to me is a really good example of what you can do for a sentient robotic species. Yeah, you have the humanoids, but they also have tank tread stuff, wheeled things, big monstrous things, hunter killer flyer. I mean, they had the whole shebang. It was great.
Yeah,
and that's what I really like about Skynet. And speaking about technology, as prophesized, the Cult Mechanicum, real quick, coming out, and I'm really kind of let down.
You are?
I like the I like the units. The units are cool. Don't get me wrong, but
the one unit I don't like is the robot dude. But thankfully I have Forge World to replace him.
I like him. I think he looks fine. It's a good logical kind of.
I like
idea.
the cheesy 80 robot look. But I'm just like, I don't know.
Well, Forge World ones do look better, and to be honest though, I don't know the size scale in terms of which ones you could step out easily at the same scale. If there are
anyone that's a Terminator base, because I did see one.
Okay.
And they do use Terminator bases, I believe.
And the Forge World stuff is very nice, like 1920s, 1930s. The future is magnificent, and that's why I like these more modern ones. Even though they're kind of ancient, it's kind of a crud. Things didn't go the way we needed them to go, so we have to maintain them. So forget the bright, prosperous future. Just put 1980s look on them. I like that. I can see the progression.
I do like the Tech Priest Dominus.
He's cool. I like the units a lot. I do, but and I get it. They have their own special rules for their stuff, but it's another 80-page codex, and this is why I'm convinced, my theory, that they just cut the Skitarii out, because you could put the two together easily.
Yeah.
And if you go, well, they have different rules. Okay, so you say army-wide special rules. Things with unit Skitarii have this. Things that aren't Skitarii have this, And you can still have the Skitarii special rule of doing the whole, like, buffing stuff temporarily, and that could still be in the codex for Skitarii units. And then you have this for the Cult Mechanicum units, and it could have been a bigger, all-encompassing codex instead of 2 80-pagers. It really,
This is actually why I'm still holding out. Like, I love the Mechanicum. I'm holding out to see if they try to pull some and have a combo codex.
They might. I doubt it.
But I'm like, you know what? You've tricked me before, GW.
I don't know if to do that, I'm guessing that what we see is all the units they have in that codex, because it's only 80 pages.
Most likely.
But also, I'm like, right, I get it. You want super unique feeling, but they make the military might of the Imperium. Give them some Lehman Russes. Give them some tanks. Give them some transports.
That's why I'm holding off. I'm like, no, there's got to be something where they get like Russes and junk.
I mean, I get it. You're giving them all super unique tech, okay, but at the same time, Mars and the other Forge Worlds all those are stamp pressed tanks. They can easily take a batch.
Their theory is probably, you'll just ally the Garden to represent those tanks.
Yeah, but I don't want to ally the Garden. I want the tank to be a Mechanicum tank, therefore it has maybe an upgrade that the Guard don't get, Like, that's what I'm looking at. Like, I'm looking at the potential is there, and it's rubbing me the wrong. I like the units, I do, but the idea of what the Mechanicum are, also, not even that, giving them, like, this religious fervor would have been better saved for Sisters of Battle. Like, they're making it sound like their faith in the machine is this, and I get it. It's a very religious-based system, the Mechanicum. It really is.
Yeah. Why don't they give this much vigor to the Sisters?
Yeah, why don't we just give that to the Sisters and make this feel more techy? Like, that's something I would have liked. But, I don't know. I can't knock it till I actually see it, but it's, fully. It's not that I hate it, and I don't think it's terrible. I just think there's more to it than what we're getting still. Like, I guarantee you, people will be allying for Lehman Russes, or just doing Unbound for Lehman Russes and stuff, because it's not even like it's not the Mechanicum making it. The Mechanicum is making it. So
yeah.
And I could see, no Land Raider and stuff like that, because those are highly specialized and hard to make. But
they kind of owe those straight to the to the Astartes.
And the Astartes kind of also still make their own, but they also get it from the Mechanicum, and I get all that. But when the Lehman Russ is basically stamped out by the thousands a day, you can take some.
Yeah.
You could do it for quote-unquote quality control.
And speaking of, it looks like the word is, according to the next preview in the White Dwarf, we're going to be getting ourselves Space Marines next.
Which, honestly, I'm surprised it took them that long to give us the poster child of 40K, but...
Yeah.
Which is a good thing. It gave... Because, we got Knights, we got stuff, and I have to say, Imperial Knights came out way on the heels of stuff also. A great job, real quick on that. Still, there's improvements that could be made in this codex, but this is a huge step forward. This is what I wanted out of the original Knights codex. And even though they were releasing models and stuff, there was a decent time between Imperial Knights and the Mechanicum. Like, I have to say, bravo, while you were still releasing models and releasing stuff, because you guys seem to be releasing stuff like almost every week these days, at least you gave some breathing room. There was some breathing room in all this, and that's good. That's good. I'm just hoping that, but when this Mechanicum book comes out officially, coming up, I'm hoping on that same day they don't also announce the next codex. I hope there's another at least week or two of breathing room. That's all. That's what they need to continue with. And
yes, I believe like this week's preview was Strike Hard, Strike Fast.
Yeah.
And I believe next week's preview is And They Shall Know No Fear.
Right. Well, whatever happens is going to happen. Clearly, there's no way to stop that wheel from turning. But I think there was a decent amount of breathing room here.
Now, speaking of that, real quick, the wording on the streeting is that after Space Marines, we're going to get a Grey Knight equivalent release of the Dark Angels. Now,
I don't even know what that means, to be honest. Because the Grey Knights have their own codex.
Just the Codex. Like how Grey Knights just got the Codex and the data cards, and that was it. What are you hoping, if this is true, to see come out of a new Dark Angels Codex?
Honestly, nothing. I mean, to be honest, like, maybe I forget the exact stat line of Azrael's sword, but maybe make it... It's still plenty good and plenty fine. Maybe just enhance that a bit, or maybe some type of plasma thing that they get to, either a special relic or something that doesn't get hot, or they get a re-roll for gets hot or something because they're Dark Angels and they bathe in plasma.
Yes.
But honestly, what I would like to see the most is the Inner Circle Honor Guard. Because there is a bodyguard group in all Space Marine chapters, Dark Angels included. And you could say, oh, it's the Deathwing or the Ravewing because Azrael can do that. Yeah, it is, but at the same time, there is still an Honor Guard equivalent.
He's got his own Honor Guard.
He has his own Honor Guard. You see
he doesn't just go, I'm going everywhere, everyone from 1st and 2nd Company to me.
Yeah, he doesn't just take a squad, a command squad. Like, he doesn't just take Deathwing squads with him. I mean, if they want to make it a full-on Honor Guard Terminator squad, more power to them. But I want to see the equivalent of the Honor Guard squad in the Codex, or I would like to see yet another special Terminator grouping that is a Terminator Stern Guard with special ammunition in their Stormbolters.
That would be cool.
That's what that's all I really want. And the thing is, if it's one or the other, I'll be happy. If it's neither, I'll still be fine because what's there is solid.
I enjoy our Codex a lot. And
we have the Deathwing Knights I would have never thought of as an idea, and they're solid. I don't know if I would ever use them personally because I like to shoot stuff, but they're solid. I can't honestly think of much.
I've seen
else.
the Knights rip through a lot of stuff, so we've got some pretty nasty things going for us.
Exactly, and I think we've gotten to the point with Space Marine stuff. And I think the Centurion's a good example that things are getting silly now a little bit potentially.
Yeah.
Or real easy to get silly. And honestly, the Centurion as an idea, great. The model, silly.
Yeah.
But I don't think there's much left we can do the only thing they could do is look at Forge World and go, what do these things used to have? And what can we take from that time period and bring it back? That's it.
There's a couple of things that I would like to see. Now, again, as it's like with the Eldar and to an extent Chaos, no matter what happens, I'm buying the Codex. So whether I get it or not doesn't really mean anything. It's just, what would be nice, wouldn't it be nice? Yes, dropping some Beach Boys, because I can, because I'm that old.
I was going to say, don't, and I know what I know what you just did, and I guarantee you there are people going, who's the Beach Boys? Which is sad. I'm not saying they're like the definition of music, but there are some classics that you just should know.
Dude, when I mention, like, old cartoons, like, oh, man, when I quote, like, DuckTales or something that work, and they're like, what? And I'm like, DuckTales. And I'm like, what? Like, DuckTales? Scrooge? Huey? Come on. Oh, God, do I feel old. Go back to your new age Futurama junk.
Right.
Which I can't say I watched. I liked Futurama.
Right.
But still, just like, man, you guys make me feel old. But anyway, so what I would like is a couple of things. I'd like our flyers to go down in price. Because I
guarantee you there'll be a points redistribution. That's why I didn't even bother bringing up points to them, because that always happens.
But for the flyers specifically, our Dark Talon, the way the fluff describes the Rift Cannon, it describes it as a very weak Eldar D cannon. So I think it would be neat if it had a D Scythe profile, which is, it's a strength D, but it's only strength 4 when accounting for insta-death.
Right.
To represent that it's using warp tech the same type, it specifically says in the book, it's equivalent to the Eldar's warp tech. Just make it weaker.
Oh yeah, I get what you're saying.
Another thing is, I'd like to see the Vengeance and the Shroud get some kind of, like, rules-wise they're great. I think stat-wise they need a tiny bit of tweaking, because they're supposed to be a bigger version of the Landspeeder. Why don't they have an extra hull point or maybe one extra point of armor to represent that they're bigger tanks?
Right.
And other than that, the only other thing I could see is, like, either Azrael making his Lord of War special thing, he can, like, his warlord, give him a special warlord trait where him and his unit can re-roll plasma, or something.
Yeah.
Just to, like you said, to represent the fact that they bathe in plasma.
I mean, their whole big thing used to be that they had plasma cannons and tactical squads.
And they were the only ones they could do it.
Yeah, for a while. And then they're still all about the plasma. They are, and it would be nice, but,
that would be also really cool. Plasma cannon on a bike.
Oh yeah, no. If you made the attack bike take a plasma cannon, that would be awesome.
I was very upset when I heard the rumor that supposedly bikers in the regular Space Marines can take a land speeder. And I'm like, what? And then but then the rumor was like, it has to be a plain land speeder. I'm like, oh, okay, so it's not like us. We can take any land speeder we want. So
even if we can, I mean, it makes sense. That is a good support for a bike. And even if they can do that, it doesn't make them Ravenwing. Ravenwing have all these other specialness. But the other thing that I'd really
that's actually one thing that we should get is the land speeder in our squad should be able to do the outflank rule, because as of right now, currently, if you do the Ravenwing bike squad, they lose outflank because of the land speeder.
Oh yeah, no, that should be cleaned up, of course.
Like, it should be like, if part of a Ravenwing bike squadron, they have the outflank special rule.
Anything in the attack squadron should have the outflank special rule, but
just to represent the fact that that's what they do.
Exactly, but the other thing that I would really like to see, because, I always forget about this, but I would like to see what they did with the Blood Angels be done to the Dark Angels, and give at least one successor chapter a special character. Maybe give the Angels of Vengeance their chapter master, or somebody else their chapter. That
group, the Sons of Caliban, because rumor...
Oh, the Disciples of Caliban?
Yeah, because interesting fan theory about them is that they're the dudes that were on Caliban that were arrested and tried to rebel against Luthor, and that's why they don't think they need to be they don't need redemption.
Oh, that's I know which one you're talking about. I forget the name of them, but that's just a fan theory. But I would like to see maybe the Disciples, the other chapter, the Disciples of Caliban, who were secretly created for the sole purpose of hunting Cypher, give them their chapter master.
That would be cool.
Just something to help diversify, because as of now, people play Angels of Vengeance, people play Angels of Absolution and all that, but they're kind of, either you take accounts as Azrael, which fine, sure, whatever. It's not like it's a bad thing, but it'd be cool just to have an extra option like you have with Gabriel Seth with the Flesh Tearers. So that would be nice. That would be I think more of that in Space Marine stuff in general. You know, I'm not one that says you need to bulk up on special characters, but diversity. And for the level of God with Space Marines, give the Iron Hand somebody. Yeah.
I think they're one of the only named chapters that don't have a special character.
The only first founder who has nothing. They don't even have a special HQ anymore, like the Iron Father that they used to have. They got, unless it's in the supplement, but they give them a special character. Come on. But you know, that's Dark Angel aside. The Iron Hands, I feel for you. I do. I really feel for you. You don't get anything.
And one thing that I'm curious about, I know a lot of people are ticked about the Black Templar. What's your theory on the Black Templar not having a codex and the supposed they're getting their codex back?
I personally would like to see their codex come back, because when the Black Templar had a lot of cool things, like one of their special war gear was the Holy Orb of Antioch. Mm-hmm. It was the Holy Hand Grenade.
Oh my!
It was basically like a tongue-in-cheek thing of the Holy Hand Grenade. They had that, you know, which was hilarious, and they don't have that anymore. And then they had some other stuff, and I would like to see it because there's potential to give them maybe some, like, you know, GW can take a page out of Forge World's Horus Heresy for the Imperial Fist and give them some squads, make them unique again, you know. But because the Black Templars have that Crusader mentality, and you can just give them some cool capability. Great. But as they stand now, they're incredibly capable. Like, I get I'd be upset if the Dark Angels just merged with the Space Marine Codex, right? I would be upset too if it was my chapter that used to have a codex and now I got to get a whole other codex that I never needed before to do something. But the Black Templars, as they stand now, it's not like they don't have access to Sternguard. It's not like they don't have access to Vanguard. They have access to tactical squads too. As far as I can tell from the FAQ and stuff, they're able, like, it's a choice. You may take Crusader squads, so it's not like it's not like it replaces anything. So, from what I can tell, looking at their rules, you know, for their chapter tactic, because I mean, their chapter tactic is really bare bones. It's really not much for them, but it just says that they get access. Black Templars detachments have access to a special unit called the Crusader Squad. Yep. Which means they could take tactical squads. Which means you can have your cake and eat it too with your infantry. You know what they have access to in here that they didn't have access to in the original codex? Devastators and Whirlwinds. Wasn't in their original codex.
Yeah, because wasn't there a reason behind them not using Devastators?
Or Whirlwinds, because they were Crusaders. They always push forward. They just didn't, you know, we don't got time to stand around and shoot you. We got to charge after you, basically. This is a futuristic world with laser cannons. We're going to stab you with our swords. Oh, exactly, because they're angry like that. But like, they didn't have Whirlwinds or Devastators in their codex. Now you can have your cake and super eat it too. You got your Crusaders, and your Sword Brethren squads were terrible. So now you have Vanguard. Way better than Sword Brethren ever were. Because literally, the Sword Brethren were built like the kit, and the kit gives you one guy with Twin Lightning Claws and one guy with a Power Sword, and that's all you could do. There was no upgrades aside from that. So now you have Vanguard, who can really lay the smackdown. So, yeah, Black Templars really lost a lot of personalization and being stuff that way, but they're in a very capable codex and able to take everything from that codex. They're fine. They're fine as is. People just got to get used to that fact. And if they get their own codex back, it would be great, because then we could see their own unique relics, their own, you know, maybe special units and squads that they used to maybe have. Like, bring the Sword Brethren back as something good this time, you know? Like, that would be cool, but all honesty, they're fine as they are. And I know Black Temple players hate to hear that, but they really are. But, you know, I get why they want their codex back. I fully support that. If they do, that's great. But I'd rather see things get a codex back, like, I don't know, Sisters of Battle and other things happen. Yeah, the Sisters really are the codex that need to be fixed. And, you know, I would just like to see them be done, because I really am curious on what they can do in terms of plastic kits with those
Yeah, they have so much potential. I mean, they're nuns with guns.
They are nuns with guns. And plastic kit-wise, I'd be really curious to see what they got, because
Yep.
we have the technology. We can make them better, faster, stronger.
And I've seen the forms. They will sell like ridiculous if they just release them in plastic.
Yeah, like a dozen people will buy it.
Yeah.
Literally, I mean, you already tripled the number of Dark Eldar players right there. So, I mean,
yeah,
you're good. But
and how many times have you attempted to get the Dark Eldar back?
They try so hard. And you know what? The Dark Eldar are cool. It's just that they're really niche.
Yeah.
Like, really niche. They're
very much like the Eldar, but to the extreme. You need to know what you're doing to get them to like really work like super well.
Oh yeah, no, they're the opposite side of the spectrum for a learning curve.
Yeah, like, because if everyone says, "Oh, Eldar's super easy," you haven't played me. I will make you feel like the Eldar are the weakest codex.
And it's just like, and the thing is, the Eldar are no stronger or weaker than they used to be in all actuality. It's just shifted on the paradigm. But
they just have a learning curve, just like the Dark Eldar. It's just that the Dark Eldar have such a
the Dark Eldar probably have the highest learning curve.
Yes, like them, and followed by Nids, I'd say.
I'd say yeah, but I mean, at least with Nids you have
the idea of if you throw enough men at it, you'll win.
Yeah, but the Dark Eldar, you don't like.
Yeah, you don't have that ability.
Like, if you're really masochistic, play Dark Eldar if you never played them before, and you'll have a good time, because you'll be just in agony the entire time trying to learn them properly. But
yep.
I like to see the Searchers come back. I like to see something for them. You know, I'm all for bringing whole new factions into things. I like the Mechanicum. Don't get me wrong; it's cool to see stuff for that. But let's see the Sisters. I mean, the Sisters of Battle is still a thing in 40K. Let's bring them. Yeah. Let's bring them to the foreground. But
the one thing that I will be upset like with the Mechanicum and all that is because, like I said, they should have Russes and all that, and my Guard are just sitting, waiting to know what I want to do with them.
Yeah.
And I'm like, if I strip all of them down and make them Trader Guard, that's when they're going to make a Mechanicum Codex where I can use Russes, and I will be super angry.
I really don't think we're going to get there, because I don't unless they want to give us a third book, but that's just asking for trouble. But in all honesty, though, I don't think we'll get there. I think it'll have to be an Allies or an Unbound thing, and I get it. But at the same time, if you're not going to give us Lehman Russes, give us unique Mechanicum tanks. They have those too. Mechanicum has plenty of unique stuff, and we got that with the Servitor thingies and the Electro Priest, all well and good stuff. We got the robot, that's cool. They have tanks. They have walkers.
Yep, we got the walker.
Give me that. Like, give us some, like, I don't know why they are so anti-vehicle for Mechanicum, the people who make vehicles. So...
Yeah.
Like, I could see that for, like, I don't know, Tyranids, because they're organic, but Mechanicum, the people who make tech and they make the Titans. They make everything.
So you say these dudes are all about making robots and tanks and vehicles? So you're saying they're a troop-based army?
Exactly. But, like...
So you mean to tell me... So the Nids here, they're giant bugs, right? Yeah. So they need tanks.
Exactly. But,
That's right, we'll give them bugs that infuse themselves with tanks.
Yes. But, and, you know, but it's whatever. Now, what I am curious about, and I know, you know, we've messaged back and forth on this, and is the concept of Forge Rule paints. Because, I get it, they're formulated for airbrushes, which means you're going to have to thin them down anyway, but they'll probably be pretty good for paintbrushes also. Mm-hmm. And they have
that's one of the things I'll be testing soon.
And they have different hues to them. It's not like it's a Citadel paint made to be airbrush. It is different colors and whatnot. It just feels like, couldn't Citadel paints have just done this and not Forge Ruled? And the reason I say that is then they'd be stock normally. You know, like, because it's Forge Ruled paint. And they wouldn't
be $6 up.
Well, I could still see them potentially being $6 a pop. Because, you know, it's a specially formulated paint. And don't forget, our paints already are... I mean, we're buying... Like,
Citadel does have the most expensive paints out there.
They do, but what we're looking at is a 20 mil pot.
Yep.
It is bigger than their standard pot. So, I get what they're going for. But and hobby paints aren't cheap. Period. To me, paints aren't cheap. Coat d'Arms, the Reaper paints, Vallejo, they're not cheap. None of our paints are cheap, considering the amount we're buying versus the price. But I just don't see an independent gaming store stocking, like, they're already, pretty much any place that does sell wargaming stuff, like 40K and stuff, will have Citadel paints there. They'll have Citadel and Vallejo, or Citadel and Reaper. I'm not going to see them have a whole nother setup for Forge World. But if it was done through Citadel, they would stock it. So that's why I found it a bit odd.
Yes. It is a little weird, especially since, like you said, the only valid place where you can just walk in and grab them is going to be any event Forge World's at.
Right.
If they're, like, in Europe. Because apparently there's some stupid rule that prevents them when they come to Adepticon. They can't sell minis unless... They can only sell books unless you order them on their website and they're just bringing a delivery over, because then it counts as a delivery. But for some reason they're not allowed to sell minis, so we can't actively just go out and grab these paints.
Right. I mean, maybe a GW store will stock them, but because it's paint. But it's also like, that's the weird thing I find about Forge World doing it. But Forge World has their own weathering powders, which I own a few, and they're pretty nice. But what I do have to say is this. I've used plenty of different paints. I use Vallejo's liquid metal range of alcohol-based paints. They're great. I use plenty of paints, but we as a hobbying group have to look around. There's Tamiya, there's Testers, and if you look into stuff more so for modeling, there's a really cool company called AK Interactive. Mm-hmm. I have AK Interactive stuff. I love it. I love AK Interactive. They're the only company that I know of right now that makes a liquid weathering powder. Like, it's not literally a weathering powder liquid, but it's like the way the liquid works. It doesn't dry like a glaze. It doesn't dry like a shade. It dries to be kind of like a weathering powder, only much more durable because it's not a powder.
Interesting.
And it's like, I have their Kursk Earth, which is what they call their weathering. They have a whole bunch of stuff. They sell paints, more so for like army stuff, so your olive drab and things like that. But in the weathering product situation, they have a weathering effect, and it's called, I think, Nature Effects or something like that. And it's an enamel-based paint. So what I always do, I think it's that one. Yeah, Kursk Earth is the one I have that does it. They're enamel-based. So what I do, just to avoid any potential problems, is I put a sealant over my paint first, matte varnish it before putting this over it, just in case. Mm-hmm. I don't want to ruin a paint job. Not that I am extravagant with painting, but I also got what's called engine oil. It's meant to represent used engine oil, and boy howdy, when I open it up and you have to shake it up nice, and then I put it on my paintbrush and I put it out as a test. I'm like, they just bottled engine oil. That's not even paint. That's got to be engine oil. It looks just like it's not like a black wash with some brown tint. It's engine oil.
And this man used to work with NASA cars.
Yeah, NASCAR stuff. So, it looks like engine oil. I'm like, wow, that's really good. They do make regular weathering powders. But they offer a lot of stuff, and it's not so much like, oh, I'm going to paint up maybe if you're doing the Raptor Space Marine chapter, you could get their olive drab and be really good with it. But they got a lot of stuff. They have dust effects. Like, they also have burnt rust red. So you can do that if you're trying to do weathering for Mars soil. You can put that as a weathering powder over Mars soil. They have weathering plaster paste, which is like buying spackling paste and putting it on your bases, but they make that too, whatever. They have, what's really cool that they make lenses. They make 2mm, 2.3mm, 1mm, 1.5mm, up to like 6 millimeters. Instead of painting the lens effect, you glue this in place and it looks like a lens.
Interesting.
It's really, really cool. Let me send you a link to one of them, but because those are really cool. That I'm looking at, like, I really need to pick up those because I can't make a convincing looking lens to save my life at all, like at all. So here you go. This is one of their examples for you. If I can find the chat, there it is. But they also have toe chains They have rusty toe chains you can buy, small, medium, and large. All you do is glue it on there. You don't have to worry about painting up a rusted metal effect. Like, it's just a cool little accent thing that way. Then they have a paint. They make, acrylic colors. They don't, not only enamel. And one of them is rubber tires. They look like used old rubber tires. And that's not like, that's not just a brown or a black or a gray. It's an interesting blend, and it's for brushes and airbrushes. They also do rust deposits for more, and the cool thing about these rust deposits is that this is like liquid weathering powder. They're medium. This is an example of a medium rust deposit. You paint it on like a paint, and it dries, and it looks like crusted rust. And they also have rust primer. It's a primer paint that is rust, but it's meant to be a primer. So if you're going to do stuff over it, you can put this down as a primer. And it's just these cool little things that, I would have never thought of. And they also do some crazy stuff. They do the equivalent of alkali paint in a way. You put a really glossy black down and you airbrush over that to silver and stuff. They do stuff like that if you want to get crazy. And it's not like they're the only company to do this, but they do a lot of it themselves. And one of the paints that I've seen elsewhere, but you don't see it often, and you have to be really dedicated to do this paint, is wax paint. It's their true metal range for that. And what it is a wax paint you apply with a brush, your fingertip, whatever, right? You apply it down, and then once it's dried, you can polish it to a high shine. And it's a wax paint, so I would never, unless I really want a really cool custodian guard-looking guy, and I would have to test it because I don't know how it does with detail on the model. But it is a wax paint, but you can thin it down and whatnot. But this is a paint that once you apply it, you have to polish it to get a super. But it looks gold, it looks silver. So That's
interesting.
They're not the only people to do this, but they're on AK Interactive does do it on top of all their other stuff. They got pigment colors. They do extreme metal, which is the alkali stuff. True metal is their wax. They sell tools and they do a whole bunch of stuff because it's really for the rivet counters on the modeling side of things, right? That is not the correct shade of green for that World War II tank. It's off by a half a hue. Those people. And I bring it up because they have fixers. They have fixers that help with shades of stuff. And they have, they also sell pigment fixers, which is basically just rubbing alcohol, but they make a different thing. But then they make, I forget what they call it in their paints, but they make these different type of things to help create a slightly different hue to your olive drab or whatever without being a whole new paint. So there's a lot. It's an AK Interactive is one that's pretty well known. I have Kursk Earth and Engine Oil, and let me tell you, they work really well. But the reason I'm bringing these guys up is because when we talk about paints, we're typically talking about how to paint the main armor color and stuff. So we're talking about Vallejo, Citadel, Reaper. These guys have stuff like that if you're looking for olive drab. If you're looking for more military and modern military colors, you can, your options open up a lot. But they also, who doesn't like adding a little weathering and a little personalization in terms of weathering and stuff like that to their models? I love that stuff like that. And it's true, weathering powders, even when you fix them, they're fragile. So, because it's a powder. So, but in looking at that regard, you have to expand your horizons. Now, I'll give Citadel a lot of credit, I will, because they do a lot. They have the crackling paint, the dry brush specific paint. They do stuff like blood gore effect, and they have the thing that looks like weathered copper and stuff like that. They're not the only people in town to do that, but not all paint companies have such a big range of different colored paints and those.
Yeah. They're very big on trying to be your one-stop hobby shop.
Yeah, and I give them a lot of credit for that because that's not easy and it's not cheap on the company. There's a reason why not every company does stuff like that because that's expensive. But when you look elsewhere, you'll find stuff like AK Interactive, and there's other companies out there. For example, there's Mr. Color. Mr. Color is another company that's really good for airbrushes, and they have a lot of stuff and effects as well, such as liquid masking that I think AK Interactive also does, and there's a lot of stuff out there, and we often separate ourselves as war gamers from the model making community, not because we're trying to ostracize them, but because our stuff tends to be smaller. We play with it. It's not historically accurate for the most part, because we're talking about elves and dragons and monstrous trolls
and dudes that fire grenades out of their guns.
Exactly. We're not talking about World War II or Desert Storm or World War I or Revolutionary or anything like that. So we don't. Not that we're deliberately separating itself from them. And I think my theory is that maybe they try to deliberately separate themselves from us a little bit to be taken, AKA, or quote unquote, more seriously. But they have a lot of product range to help us out for our painting and our weathering and our effects, and AK Interactive is a good example of that. So if you never heard of them before, Fearless Gamers, give them a look-see. I learned about them from Templar Crusade on YouTube. Just, thank you, Templar. I went, you know what? I want to try it out. So I ordered it off Amazon. You don't have to buy it from them. I don't know what country they're from. I know they're from Europe, but I can't tell what country they're from.
All I just knows is they don't believe in the period.
No. But you can buy them off of Amazon, so that's easy and safe enough if you're worried. And I like it. I'm interested to try out more of their product. And there's other companies like that, like I mentioned, Mr. Color. Also, Tamiya. Tamiya paints need their thinner. Their paints don't really play too well with being watered down with water. They need the Tamiya thinner to really work better. But that's a company people swear by for paints, and to be honest, their paint range is bigger than what most places stock. So you have to do some searching.
My only issue with my biggest issue is if I'm ever going to try a different paint or something, it has to be a fresh new thing. Like it has to be a brand new army or a brand new game or something. Because I'm in that stock right now where if it doesn't match, then I can't use it because then half my minis won't match.
Oh yeah, I feel that same pain, and that's why I utilize Citadel so often, some Vallejo, this and another thing. But hobby painting, and we all know this as war gamers, is like, I'm going to tell you, it's like being a mechanic. Yeah. In which you hoard tools and supplies. So you go, that's a cool paint, picking it up. Even if you're going to use it twice, you're like, gotta buy the whole pot. You can't just buy a little bit. Or you did an effect once, and you go, man, if only I could do oil better. Check out engine oil. All right, picking it up, gonna use it like twice. Who cares? I'll have it forever. And then you just, that's how it works. And we do that. We do that with kits sometimes. We do that with paintbrushes sometimes, but most often with our paints. And expanding your knowledge of what's out there to use and how to use it. Understand, if it's alcohol-based, you need rubbing alcohol to clean your brush with, not water. You have to understand stuff like that. But AK Interactive, Mr. Color, Tamiya, these things, I can't go out and paint Dark Angels using Tamiya's green. It won't work right. Yeah. But Tamiya's Clear Red is the best gore effect, better than the one that GW offers. It's the best gore effect on the market I found is Tamiya Clear Red. That's something you can pick up because you're not painting the whole model like that unless maybe you're playing Corn and you want to go that crazy. But Corn. But that's an effect type driven thing. Same thing with
on the corn.
Yeah, same thing with a clear blue they make or a clear green. You pick up the engine oil, the Cursed Earth. That's not necessarily it's paint because it's an enamel based paint thingy, but it's not paint how we think of it. Paint up a model. So. By all means, don't have your army look half and half. Color match, for sure. But you're doing weathering. You're doing an effect. It could be a glow effect. It could be rust. It could be whatever. There's lots of stuff out there that you can look in that regard. Pick up Tamiya's, metallic brown to help for something. Pick up AK Interactive's rust primer. If you're going to, let's say, want a heavy rust effect, but you don't want to do a rust effect, you just paint it on, and then you just paint over it, dry brushing to do effects. There you go. Or if you're trying to do something really shiny and you don't mind experimenting because let's say you go with an airbrush with alclads, you have that whole option, which is very in-depth. You have that can do candy coats and candy chromes and stuff like. There's a lot out there for us. In fact, Testers offers automotive quality paints for painting automotive models. This GM orange is going to match the GM orange on real cars. And if that's something you're into for model painting, great, but also that's an orange that maybe you couldn't find anywhere else. It's like, that's the orange I need for my Fire Dragons because I don't like the way the orange is coming out. But that orange will do it. Boom, you're good. What you must always do is a test piece and understand how you can use and clean up and thin the paint. Once you get that, your options are limitless.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Just don't use house paint.
Yes. No.
Except you can get a test. What you can do is you can get the reject mix, and you can get a test mix. A lot of places they'll give you like, oh, I'm interested in that brown or green, let's say, but I need a little. Can I get a little test pot, essentially, a little test thing to see how it works on the wall or whatever? A lot of places will do that for free or for cheap. That's great for terrain. Yeah. But that's it. Don't even touch a model with that.
Yeah, no, I made that mistake once.
Not because it'll eat it up, but because it'll be... what detail? What detail? What do you mean? Yeah. Is this that detail? No.
Yeah, they look so terrible.
Just don't... Like, I'm not saying, oh, I can go ahead and use this and be fine. No. Our paints are formulated for a reason. Everything I mentioned was model paint. Like, you can't... Yep. Like, don't use apple wood paint.
Apple barrel.
Apple barrel, because it's wood paint. It's... I mean, people that do, you got balls. And you got to thin it down a lot. But
and if you can get it to work, more power to you.
Yeah, if I can, you know who can't get it to work is this guy. So I need model paints.
And with that, we are out of time.
Yes.
So thank you all for joining us today. And until next time, fearless gamers, this is Matt the Vet,
James the Wildcard,
saying take care.
Peace.